first of all, to explain, the low-income pool helps our lowest income citizens. It's over a $2 billion program. And this isn't money we're asking for. This is hard-earned tax dollars that the citizens of our state have paid into this program. And they will not coerce us, and they will not withhold that money unless we expand Medicaid. You can call it extortion, you can call it blatant abuse. It's all of the above, and that's what they're attempting to do.
Well, and of course, my first thought was back to the original Obamacare ruling from the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, a couple of years ago. And part of the portion where the administration didn't win was essentially the majority of the court saying you cannot force, you can't put a, quote, gun to the head of states to force them to take a Medicaid expansion they don't want to do, because that's not free. States have to kick in for that. Do you think this is the kind of dispute that could end up before the highest court? And do you think you'd have a chance to win based on that earlier ruling?
I certainly do. I certainly do, Shannon, because he is blatantly disregarding the law. Again, this is Floridians' money. This is tax. These are tax dollars that we have already paid. And you can't come in and extort us here in Florida and say, hey, if you don't participate in this LIP program, low-income pool, we're gonna pull it from you unless you expand Medicaid. Just think, this is the start. Just think how many other federal programs throughout other states they could come in and try to coerce the states into losing if they don't participate in the Medicaid expansion. And we're not going to let them do it in Florida. We've shown time and time again we will not be bullied by the federal government. And I'm proud to be chair of RAGA, Republican Attorneys General Association. And right now we have 27 attorneys general who are Republican in our country, and we are standing up for the rule of law because we understand the separation of powers, and clearly we have a president who does not or just doesn't care.
Well, and the other major battle that you and many of your colleagues, as you mentioned, are involved with now is the challenge to the president's executive actions on immigration. There are a couple of different tracks going on, but there was a hearing before the Fifth Circuit on Friday about this issue. The government wants an injunction stopping the president from moving forward with those executive actions. He wants that lifted, and the underlying case on the merits is proceeding as well. But my question to you is this: if that injunction is lifted while the case is being decided and the administration is allowed to move forward with these executive actions, will it be possible to undo them once those dominoes start falling?
Well, we all know what happens once dominoes begin to fall, but certainly we're going to challenge this the entire way. And right now we have a favorable ruling for the states. Florida's joined with 25 other states. And you have to remember, you know this isn't about immigration. This is about the president once again overstepping his bounds. He said, Shannon, time after time after time, he acknowledged that he could not change the laws that Congress passed. And frankly, the failure of Congress to pass meaningful reform must never be used by any president to circumvent the law. And that's what's happening here. He's disregarding the rule of law. But right now, by us having that injunction in place, that shows that the courts do agree with us.
All right, and very quickly, I mean, the government says, the federal government, in trying to push these executive actions, they do say Congress didn't act, it's their fault, but they also say that the costs and benefits that will come from recognizing these people who came here illegally, that they will be documented, they'll pay into the system, that they'll offset the costs that many of the states are worried about incurring if these executive actions go through. So your response?
Well, again, this isn't about immigration. I think you and I, all of us in this country, agree that we need some type of immigration reform. But as attorneys general throughout this country, we respect the rule of law. We understand the fundamental powers granted to us in our United States Constitution, and that's not for the president, by a stroke of a pen, to change the laws that Congress has the authority to enact. He's not a dictator.
We will keep an eye on both of these very important cases. Florida Attorney General Pam Biondi, great to see you. Thank you.
You too. Thank you, Shannon.